Let's talk generations. Let's do it. All right. So reading through Genesis 26, it talks about how Isaac basically like takes over as the patriarch, right? So Abraham's gone, and Isaac is the guy. And so I was listening to an interpretation of Genesis 26, and it was talking about how a lot of the events that happened during Abraham's lifetime also happened during Isaac's lifetime, and he made a lot of the same mistakes that Abraham did. A lot of the same things that happened, like there was a famine during Abraham's time, there's a famine during Isaac's time, and it just kind of got me thinking about us and our situation. And in the interpretation too, it had said that each generation has its own promises from God, and each generation has to have its promises reestablished by God as well. So I was thinking about us now and how, the last time that everything got shut down like this, everyone keeps comparing it back to the Spanish flu back about 100 years ago, right? And so, depending on how you look at it, that could be, back in Bible times, it could have been one generation because Abraham was like 100 when Isaac was born. But generally, it's like 2 or 3 generations. But even so, not getting hung up on that, even so, like what was the promise that was made during that generation? And is it going to continue or get reestablished during this generation? Or are we going to get new promises during this generation that are going to continue and get reestablished into further generations? So I don't know what the promise or the promise of our generation looks like right now, but it's something to think about. So, I mean, everything is shut down, right? Like, there's no gyms, there's no hair salons, there's no nothing, man. There's no sports. I mean, all of these things that used to fill up our time, all these distractions and potential idols and things that used to fill up our time have just been wiped away, and we're left with us and our families and communities and Jesus. I mean, that's what we're left with. So thinking about what is the Lord trying to show us? I mean, he did this during the days of Exodus, right? All the Israelites went back into their houses and spent time with the Lord, and it was just them and the Lord. And we're reading in Deuteronomy about how, it was there were simpler times. It was just them and the Lord. That's all it was. So I think it's very interesting to think about what is the promise that the Lord is giving us during this time. What is the promise the Lord is giving you during this time? He's given me a lot of promises over the last few weeks, and I'm looking forward to seeing those come to fruition. But start thinking about what the promises are that the Lord is giving you and how that's going to affect future generations too, because it's not for you, it's for your children and your children's children and their children's 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 children's. So think about the promises of the Lord and think about what are the new ones that he's going to establish too, because he's always moving and working. I know that people are talking about end times and everything like that, but we have no idea when or if that's going to happen in the near future, right? So establish the promises. Think about the promises of God. They're all good. They're all yes and amen. Love you with the Jesus love.